right, you guys, it's episode 55 of War Stories, and without further ado, I'm going to get straight back to it. So check it out, you guys. As you guys already know, yesterday I dropped episode 53 and 54 of War Stories. Now, I told you guys I was going to take somewhat of a temporary reprieve from Inner Demons since it's been so long since I dropped a War Story. So that's what I'm going to do. For the next week and a half, I'm going to concentrate on just trying to get you guys out some War Stories. Now, Inner Demons started to heat up. Like I said, I started to get into it myself. However, I'm going to concentrate on getting a few of these War Stories out to you guys. And then probably by the end of the week, I'll bring them both back. And you guys will start getting episodes of Inner Demons and War Stories together like I was before. So anyways, let me just jump straight back into this one. So for this one, I'm going to take you guys back to 1987, the end of 87, the beginning of 88. Damn, that seems like a long time ago. Some of you probably weren't even born yet. Some of you were born in the 90s. Just goes to show how old B really is getting. That's crazy, man. Anyway, so at around this time, let me kind of just set the stage for you guys so you guys can understand what was going on at that time. So I'm 17 years old. I'm almost going to be 18. I'm getting ready to get caught up and go to prison for the first time. You guys heard that in one of my previous episodes, yesterday or the day before. Anyways, at this time, I'm running around in the Mission District between 16th and 19th. My neighborhood is up on 24th. I would go up to my neighborhood and I kick it with the homies. But, you know, for the most part, I would be on 16th and 19th in between those streets hustling. I was slinging dope, trying to support my own habit. You know, I was out there by myself. I had to learn how to fend for myself. Our house got raided when I was 16. It got raided again when I was 17. My mom and my stepfather both got shipped back off to prison. So I had to fend for myself. I had to learn how to rent hotels, you know, so that I could keep a room over my head. I had to learn how to keep money in my pocket so that I could eat. You know, I had to basically learn how to do it all by myself. I grew up fast in the streets. But anyways, so there was actually two different parts of the city that I used to frequent out there at that time. Like I said, one area was between 16th and 19th in Mission, and the other area was in the Tenderloin, downtown San Francisco. Those were the two areas that I would run around at, you know, in at that time, because those areas were the two areas where you could go down there and you could find anywhere from 50 to 100 dealers out there in the streets selling every kind of narcotic drug you could think of, everything from heroin, cocaine, every kind of pill you can think of, PCP, you name it, crack, it was all out there at that time. So that was why I was running around in those areas. Obviously, I was strung out, and again, I was trying to support my habit, and I was running hard at that time. So, you know, let me also say this. So since then, the Mission District has changed a lot. It's cleaned up. They cleaned it up. It's nothing like today is nothing like it used to be. The way the Mission looks right now. If you go down there right now, you're going to see a whole different look. The areas between 16th and 19th, there's nobody out there no more. You'll see a lot of people out there. The city has always been congested. So you're always going to see people out there. The blocks are always just congested with people walking around, but you're not going to see dope dealers out there. You're not going to see prostitutes, because the whole stroll used to be on 17th and Cap, between 17th and 16th. You're not going to see all that stuff. You're not going to see a lot of the street people that used to be out there running around. It's a whole different look. There's police substations damn near on every other corner. So it's cleaned up. They've even tried to clean up the Tenderloin, but they can only clean up so much. There's only so many places that, you know, those people that don't got nowhere to live, the homeless people, to go, you know, and the Tenderloin is where they all congregate at. They used to be out there in the Mission, but again, they cleaned the Mission up. So that pushed a lot of them to the TL. Now, again, they even cleaned that up, but you know, there's always going to be parts of the Tenderloin where you're going to go down there and you're just going to find just hundreds of people out there slinging dope. You don't even have to know somebody out there. You can walk through there and they're slinging dope like they're slinging candy. you'll walk through them and they'll be like, hey, you want Valium, you want codeines, you want Clonopins, I got reds, blues. It's crazy, but that's what they're doing out there. And that's how it used to be. Now, the other thing that was different at that time was 19th and Mission would later become a Sureño stronghold. That was one of the biggest Sureño neighborhoods out there in Frisco. It would come a couple years later. Now, I want to say they established that area somewhere between 1990 and maybe the beginning of 92. I was gone when it happened. I was in prison. When I came out of prison in 92, they were out there. So I don't remember exactly what year it happened, but that was the other thing that was different back then. When I used to run around between 16th and 19th, there was no Sureños up there. I used to literally post up on 19th Street, 19th and Mission right there. So there wasn't nobody out there at that time. Now, if you walk the block up to 20th and Mission, the only other individuals that we used to get into it with that were up there were the Mara Salvatruchas. They used to kick it right there by a donut shop that used to be on the corner. That was one of the areas that they frequented right there. There was a little park that was like halfway up the street, and then there was a bigger park that's called Dolores Park that's a little bit further up. Anyway, so that's how the Mission was back then. And, there's a lot of different places in San Francisco that a lot of bad places, but they're bad for their own reasons. Those two places were bad because there was a lot of drug activity. There was a lot of prostitution going on out there. There was some violence going on out there. There was some gang activity going on. You had a good, even, healthy balance of everything. But you had other places that were bad areas for their own reasons. You had places like Double Rock, Sunnydale, Hunters Point, Fillmore. You had the Alamany projects. You had Valencia Gardens. You had Army Street when it used to be around. You had the Pink Palace, the Geneva Towers, the Sunnydale projects, if I didn't already mention that. So there was a lot of different places. Those places were just areas that were just violent areas. They were, places where there was some gang activity, but there was a lot of violence out there. There was some drug activity. But again, these areas were bad for their own reasons. Now, the Tenderloin and that part of the Mission at that time were basically, commensurate to Skid Row. That's what they were. You had a lot of winos out there, a lot of homeless people shitting and pissing on the sidewalk. That's just the way it was out there. Anyways, the other thing is, I had to learn how to fend for myself at that time. The house got raided when I want to say I was 16 or 17 years old. And, my mom and stepfather, they got shipped back off to prison. Both of them, I want to say they were 2- and 3-time losers. They had both been in the joint either 2 or 3 times each, but they were on parole and we got raided. They found dope in the house, so they both got convicted and sent back to prison, which left me out there on the streets by myself. I had to grow up on the streets. I had to learn how to do everything myself. I had to learn how to rent hotel rooms every night, keep $30 to $40 in my pocket every night, besides the dope that I used to use to keep myself well. I would have to have an extra $30 to $40 that I would have to hustle in order to make sure I had a room to sleep in. I also had to make sure I had money in my pocket so that I could buy food. All those things that I had to learn in order to survive out there, I had to learn how to do them myself. So, I was running around out there like a wild youngster. Everybody knew me in that part of the Mission as I was the youngest individual out there that was running around slinging dope and just one of the regular faces out there. Everybody else that was out there were like, at least in their 30s, their 40s, they were old dope fiends. I can't remember seeing anybody else that was my age that was running around out there. I mean, literally, I knew everybody. I knew all the prostitutes. I knew all the dope dealers out there. I had either done business with them, sat in a room next to them in a shooting gallery and fixed with them, or I just would deal with them on the streets out there. for whatever reason, I knew everybody out there from associating with them or dealing with them or just from being out there. So, back then, when I say we had a lot of hand-to-hand drug sales out there. So this back then in those days, we used to keep the dope. We used to keep them inside of balloons. We put the dope in a balloon. And there's a reason for it. I think I told you guys this before, but what we used to sell at that time were like a $15 piece of black tar heroin. You put that in a little piece of cellophane, and then you get like a little $10 bag of coke. At that time, it was ether based. And you take both of those, put them in a balloon, tie it up, tie a little knot, roll it, tuck it through so that you could twist it again, tuck it through, twist it so that it would be a little ball. And, you'd have like anywhere from 30 to 40 of them in your mouth at a time. And that's where you used to keep them. And the reason why I used to keep them like that is because at that time, the narcs were notorious for running up on you and grabbing you around the neck to try to get you to spit them out. They knew everybody was keeping them in their mouth. That's where everybody kept their dope. Now, the other reason why people would keep them in balloons is the obvious. If a cop ran up on you and you seen them coming, you swallow that shit. And they couldn't do nothing about it. Even if they knew that you swallowed it, if you didn't have no dope on you, they'd have to let you go. They might say something like, I hope you die, motherfucker. I know you swallowed that shit. 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what people used to do. That's what I used to do. But, after they run your name and, they do whatever they're going to do, fuck with you, keep you hemmed up for 10, 15 minutes. Once they let you go straight to a liquor store. You get a pint of chocolate milk, shake that shit up, drink it, wait a couple minutes so that your stomach would bubble up, and then you bring up those balloons. Put a finger down your throat, make yourself gag. You gag yourself and make yourself throw up. And if you knew how to do it, you could get them back up. If you didn't, you were ass out. You lost them. So, I had to learn how to do that as well. I used to always, I knew all the faces in the Mission District. I knew everybody that was out there dealing. I knew everybody that used to run around out there. Like I said, I knew all the prostitutes. So me being in traffic and seeing faces, it was hard for the narcs to get me. I'm not saying that with any type of arrogance, but I was on my toes. I kept my head on a swivel. I used to always watch for them. And if I wasn't moving in traffic, I'd be posted up somewhere with my back up against the wall so they could only come from 3 ways. And I would see them coming. The only time they could get me was when I was in traffic. And even then, the way I used to move around out there, I was always watching behind me, watching around me so that, I could see them coming. It was hard for them they never got the jump on me, except for that one story I told you guys where my dumb ass fell asleep in that room and the dope ended up being stuck on my back. When I got up, they peeled it off my back. That's how they got me. They were never able to get me before then. Anyway, not to get off topic. So that's what I was doing at that time. And, those are the places that I used to run around, those 2 areas right there. So, being out there every day, again, knowing everybody that ran around in the Mission, there was a lot of cats that used to come through just to buy dope. A lot of cats that were out there also hustling. There was a lot of people that were out there also dealing dope. A lot of prostitutes that were out there doing their thing. So I knew everybody out there. I knew everybody and pretty much knew what they were doing. Over the course of several years, either I had met them through, my mom and stepfather when they were out there, or I met them on my own from just being out there. But there was an individual that, I got to know out there by the name of 50. They called him 50. And he was a big ass Greek dude. And I knew he was Greek because he had Greek pride on his back arms. This dude had been in the joint. He was sleeved down, but he was a big ass dude. He was like 6'3", 6'4", and he was like, I want to say a good 280, 290. I mean, he was a big ass dude. He wasn't all yoked up, ripped up, and that kind of big. He was just a big cat. So anyways, I would see 50 come through. Sometimes I deal with him. Sometimes he gets some dope for me, or other times I see him come through. He looks sick, and I look out for him. Here, bro. I spit a bag out, give it to him, man. Go ahead, do your thing, bro, and try to get me later on. Get well, man. I used to hate to see people that I knew, people that I liked, or people that I met through my mom or stepfather sick, because I knew how it felt. And if they were out there and they were hustlers, I would try to look out for them. Obviously, I couldn't look out for everybody, but 50 was one of the people that I took a liking to out there. And I'm not going to go as far as saying he was my homeboy or that I used to run with him, because I don't remember any time that we ever did any dirt together. We ran together and did any dirt. We just, a lot of times we seen each other in traffic and then we kept it moving. But anyways, on this one particular occasion, I'm out there in the Mission District running around with another individual you guys are going to hear a lot about, because I did a lot of shit with this guy. His name was Robert Rodriguez, Angel from Daly City. Solid ass dude. I met him when he first came out of Tehachapi Max. When he had just paroled from the SHU. He was, he was a little dude, somewhat of a little dude. He's like, I want to say about 5'6", 5'7", but he was yoked up. He was ripped up. He had a long ass tail, a long ass braided tail, and he was covered with ink. This dude was sleeved down, but he was a solid dude. He was down for whatever. When he hit the streets with me, and when we started running around together, we were two like-minded dudes, man. It's like the right hand knew what the left hand was doing. The left hand knew what the right hand was doing. We'd be out there jacking cats and doing all kind of shit. But anyways, I was running around with Angel at that time, and he got out. He got strung out. So, a lot of times he'd be out there trying to help me sell what I had so that we could both get well. Anyways, what a life, huh? What a life, man. When I think back on it, it's sad. But anyways, I want to say, it was around 9, 10 o'clock at night. It was late. Usually I'd end up getting off the block somewhere around 11, midnight, 12. There was people out there buying dope all through the night out there between those areas right there. But I try to get off the block somewhere around that time. And, me and Angel, we were walking up towards 19th and Mission that night. And I see a bunch of commotion up the street. All I see is a bunch of commotion, people running, across the street. I hear a bottle break and just a bunch of people yelling and shit. So as we get closer, I see that it's 50. It's the cat that this Greek cat. And, again, I'm going to say it like this. He wasn't my homeboy, but, I'm the type of dude, if I know you, if I've associated with you, I've dealt with you on some level. I feel some level of loyalty to back you up if I see you in a situation. I knew 50. I had dealt with them before. These other guys that were trying to take his head off, I didn't know none of them. But I seen him in a situation where he needed help, and I didn't even think twice about it. I don't know if he would have even tried to help me. I doubt it. 50 was the type of dude that, like I said, he was out there ripping and running himself. He was on a good one himself. He wasn't the type of dude that be out there jacking people, but, he was the type of dude that if he got the opportunity to get somebody else's dope in his hand, you were going to lose it. You're going to have to fight him for it. He'd rob you if he could. Otherwise, he just tried to hustle out there. But all I knew is I seen him with his back against the wall. It was like right there on 19th and Mission on the corner. There was a bar that was right there on the corner. The bar, or whatever kind of business it was, I want to say it was closed that night, because 50 had his back up against both the doors. And when I seen him, he was surrounded by about 6 dudes. There was like 6 dudes, and some of them were running out to the streets looking for bottles to try to throw it. go get a bottle. They run back over there, try to hit him. He ducked. The bottle would hit the wall. Or, other cats. This one cat, as I got closer, I seen he had a blade. And he'd already stabbed 50. I didn't know it at that time, but he'd already stuck 50. So tell you guys what, the reason why. The reason why is because, like I said, if 50 gets the opportunity to get dope in his hand without paying you, he'll take your dope. And that's what he did. That's what ended up happening. He ended up going down there. I guess he was sick, and he tried to jack a paisa for his dope. Once the paisa spit the dope out, gave it to him, 50 was like, all right, man, you paid. And I guess he started to walk away. Whatever he did, he did it somehow like that. Now, this was the wrong dude to do it to, I guess, because this dude pulled out a blade and got him. He ended up getting him. So anyways, I didn't see the blade at first. So when all I seen was 50 with his back up against the wall and these cats around him. Like I said, everything happened real fast. I ran over there, and Angel didn't even know 50. He didn't even know that I knew 50. I didn't have a chance to tell Angel nothing. So anyway, when I see what's going on, I run over there. I break through their little scrimmage. And like I said, I had a blade on me that night. And everything happened quick. It happened fast, man. When I got over there, I turned around and 50 was like, bro, they stabbed me, Junior. Back in those days, they used to call me Junior. That was a name that I used to use in that part of the mission. I didn't go by Boxer. I went by Junior. That was a street name that I used to use out there. Anyways, he was like, they got me, bro. This motherfucker stuck me. And I'm like, bro, what's up? And he was like, man, this motherfucker, I got his dope. I ain't giving him his dope back. I'm like, 50, give him his dope, bro. I hook you up. You know what I mean? These motherfuckers, you know what I mean? I'm about to get stuck. But 50 ain't giving up the dope. He already got stabbed. Now he feels like he earned that dope. Anyways, I got my blade out now, and I'm telling this dude, back up, man. Back up, because the paisa that had the blade, he kept coming closer. And he wasn't backing up. So I'm watching another one out of the side of my eye. He runs into the street, and he's looking for something, and he grabs a bottle. So he runs up, and he throws it, and he tries to hit me with the bottle. So when he did that, I rushed the dude with the knife, and we just started going at it. I don't even know if I hit him. I want to say that I did, but I started swinging. He was swinging. We were swinging our blades at each other, and I was on his ass. Angel came up. He came flying up out of nowhere, bombed on one of the other cats, and the fight was on. Now, me and the other dude, we were in the middle of the street, and I remember he's swinging and I'm swinging, and at one point I rushed him, and he turns around, he started to run, and I was a lot younger back in those days, so I had a little bit of speed on me. Anyways, I'm behind him, and I know I got him. I know I had to have got him because he turned around real fast. He stopped, and I damn near I ran into him, but I stabbed him at the same time. I never seen no blood, but I know for a fact I stabbed the dude. I had to have, unless, I hit a belt or I hit something that stopped the blade. Anyway, so we're going at it. We're going at it. And finally, I get that dude to back up. He backs up, and he starts to walk down towards Dolores Park. He starts to cut up 19th Street. So anyways, after I got that dude to back up, he started to leave because we knew the cops were going to come. I knew the cops were coming. He probably figured they were already on their way. When I turned around, I looked at Angel. He was fighting with two other little paisas, little small ass dudes. Anyways, I turn around, I run over there, and I barrel into one of them, and I stabbed him. I know I stabbed him for a fact. I hit him in his back, and he ran out in the middle of the street, and I ran after him, and I got him again. I want to say I hit him twice, and he ran up 19th going towards Cap. He ran the other way. So I ran after this dude, and even though he was a little short, fat dude, this motherfucker was fast. He got away. So I chased him halfway down 19 towards Cap, and then I came back. And when I came back, the other cat was already gone. They had all of them had took off. So I got back to where 50 was, and I'm like, bro, he's like, what's the matter with you, fool? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing, man? And he's like, man, that little motherfucker was like, you know, I got his dope. He's like, he stuck me, Junior. He was like, I'm not gonna give him his fucking dope back. Anyways, there's a liquor store that's right there by 19th and Mission. So, you know, 50 told me that he got stuck, that he was stabbed, that he hit him in the back. And, you know, I told him, I was like, let me see, bro. So, because he was leaning up against the wall. He didn't want to come up off that wall. So he came up off the wall, and I looked, and sure enough, the motherfucker was leaking. He had blood all over the back of his shirt and was all the way down his pants. Dude was leaking. He was leaking good. So I went into the liquor store right there, and I told dude, hey, this guy needs an ambulance, man. This dude got stabbed. Call an ambulance. He needs medical attention. So the guy in the store called the ambulance. 50 ended up getting taken by ambulance to San Francisco General. He got stitched up. And, you know, the funny part about this whole story, the funny part about the whole story is that even though all this happened, even though 50 got stabbed, this motherfucker kept that dope in his hand the entire time. He even took it to San Francisco General Hospital with him, and he kept it in his property until they operated on him. They did surgery, did whatever they did. I seen him later, and I asked him about it, and he was like, hell no, man. He was like, that dope, that motherfucker stabbed me for that dope. He was like, there's no way in hell I was giving that dope back. You know what I'm saying? He was like, once he stabbed me, he was like, you know, that dope was mine. You know, I figured that I earned that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we laughed about it, man. We laughed about it. You know, he thanked me for coming to his assistance like that. But, you know, it's crazy, man. When I think about it, it's just crazy, man, that when you're out there, you're strung out on the streets, and, you know, you're trying to get well, you pretty much do almost anything. There's people that would practically rob their own mother, beat up their own grandmother. Addiction is ugly. You know, that's one part of it that's ugly. And, you know, that's a good example right there. 50 was willing to get stabbed just so he could get well. And he felt like, you know, it was worth it. It was worth it. But was it really? You know, he could have died, man. He could have hit him in an organ. You know, dude had a good size blade. I seen it. You know, he tried to stab me with it. Anyways, you guys, this episode 55, since I already made the thumbnail for this war story right here, that's why I'm dropping it tonight. I'm going to try to get another one out to you guys in a minute. Let's see if I can get 56 out and I can keep it going. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This episode 55, this your boy B, and I'm out.